The MagicX Zero 40 is the latest console from MagicX and one of the most unique retro handhelds not just in 2025 but ever. Taking the approach of using vertical orientation screen to support vertical arcade and DS games, the MagicX Zero 40 hopes to stand out by doing something different and niching down. But does the MagicX Zero 40 succeed in its aim to carve out its own space in the busy retro handheld scene, or does it just add to the growing pile of e-waste? I've been using the MagicX Zero 40 for the past week to answer these questions, and this is what happened. When I first heard of the MagicX Zero 40, I was excited at the idea but apprehensive as to what the quality would be like. I've been a fan of MagicX's previous console, the XU Mini, however they are still kind of new to the scene and relatively unproven. Also, the initial pictures made the console look a bit flimsy. However, when I finally got my hands on the Zero 40, I was genuinely blown away. The Zero 40 didn't look anywhere near as cheap or awkward as I thought it would. The plastic used is the nice kind of quality plastic similar to what we see from AMPWON consoles. As a matter of fact, the overall build quality as a whole reminds me a lot of modern AMPWON consoles. The buttons, D-pad and recessed analog sticks are all really well designed and placed. They feel really good to use and the whole console is surprisingly comfortable. Does it look like a slice of toast? Yeah, but I really like toast, so that's not a bad thing. Seriously though, the overall square design makes the console more comfortable thanks to the extra plastic to hold on to, and the curved edges really finish off the whole feel. I'm really pleased to see that MagicX didn't just go for the easy option of turning the screen on its side and forgetting about the rest of the console. They've clearly gone out of their way to make a great user experience. The thing that really surprised me with the MagicX Zero 40 though is how comfortable it is to have in your pocket. Because of the larger surface area of the design, Pocketability wasn't even on my radar when I was first thinking of using the Zero 40. But throughout the week, Pocketability became one of the big shining points of the device. From the moment I first put the Zero 40 in my pocket on day one, I never really noticed it in there. It slides in so easily and sits smooth in your pocket, it's easy to forget that it's even there. The last time a console felt so pocketable to me was the RG28XX, which is interesting as visually these are very different consoles. Diving into the gaming and the good times continue. The MagicX Zero 40 uses Android for its operating system, and it makes for a really smooth and cohesive user experience. Emulators exist for a range of consoles including PSP and Dreamcast, however the focus is definitely on the DS. Starting off with one of my favourite games from my collection, and Mario Kart was an absolute blast. The screen size of the Zero 40 enables you to have two equal sized screens with a small border in the middle. This works well, and although the overall screen size is smaller than the original DS, you don't really notice it. As a matter of fact, it feels like these games were designed for this console. The week I was testing the Zero 40 coincided with the last week of school for the kids before the summer holidays. On the last day of school, we always like to go and buy a bunch of junk food for the holidays and watch some Phineas and Ferb when we get home. This put me in the mood for another game from my collection that I've wanted to play for a while, Phineas and Ferb on the DS. It's a game where you have to explore and find different bits and bobs to build whatever crazy inventions Phineas and Ferb can think of. It's fun but not great. However, I enjoyed it especially because of the time of year it is, and also because the Zero 40 is so much fun to use. I did notice one small issue however. The Magic Zero 40 uses a capacitive touchscreen, which is a huge improvement over the DS resistive touchscreen. However, the Zero 40 doesn't come with a stylus like the DS did. Most of the time this doesn't really matter, but there were a couple of moments in Phineas and Ferb where you have to trace a precise shape, and just using your finger, that is quite awkward. The solution would be to get a capacitive screen stylus, but I didn't bother as I couldn't be bothered having to carry it around with me. Later on in the week I decided to play another of my favourite games from my collection, and that is 999. I've started this a couple of times but never gotten more than 30 minutes into it, but this time round the Zero 40 made it really easy to sink a load of time into this. The shape and size of the Zero 40 make it really easy to have around with me all the time, so I was able to jump into 999 at any point throughout the day. With 999 being a visual novel type game, it means there's really a lot of reading to do and not many fast paced button presses. This really showed how good the Zero 40 is for one-handed gaming. Another surprise considering the overall shape of the console. On top of that, the battery life is really good as well, thanks to a great sleep mode. 2025 has already proven to be a great year for retro handhelds. Although in 2024 we had a lot more releases, in 2025 it feels a lot more like quality over quantity. I've already talked more than once about how certain consoles have become my go-tos for certain gaming scenarios, and the Magic Zero 40 is yet another to add to this list. When I first saw the Magic Zero 40, I knew it was going to be an interesting console, but honestly I didn't expect how close to perfect MagicX would get. For such a new device manufacturer, they are certainly on the right path, not only in the quality of the handhelds, but also on the focus too. MagicX are doing the smart thing by not trying to compete with AMPWON and Retroid, but carving out their own space, and with that they have achieved something unique. They've created a handheld that feels unique enough that it is worth adding to your collection no matter what other handhelds you already have, as nothing else is quite like it, and certainly nothing else does DS emulation as well for the price. If there was one improvement I would make, it would be that they include a slot with a capacitive stylus, but other than that the MagicX Zero 40 is as close to perfect as you can get. If you want to get your hands on the MagicX Zero 40, then check out the links in the description below. But if you're more interested in the flip side of the DS, then check out this console right here.